In this final video, I'll show you how to build a laminated stringer. We're ready to install our laminated stringer. And that will basically be a series of layers of 1/4-inch plywood that will staple and glue to the inside. And as we do each layer, we'll flush route it to the profile of the stairs. You'll want to mentally note where the ends of each of the riser and tread ledger boards are, because we're going to be nailing into those as we laminate our stringer boards. The first thing we want to do when we're getting ready to install our laminated stringer is to trim the bottom seat cut of each lamination of stringer. And the way we calculate that layout is to simply measure this inside dimension. In this case, I have about 8 inches, and my unit rise is 7. So I use an 8 run, 7 rise. And let's see how we lay that out at the bottom of our string. So our run is 8 inches. We'll use our bottom leg as the 8. And then our unit rise is 7, so we'll just pivot that up to 7. And that seat cut there is the line that we'll draw for our bottom seat cut. So I'll draw it as far as I can there, and then in this case we can actually just double that dimension. We can go 16 and 14. 16 and 14 and keep that same angle. And just finish off that line. And we'll make that cut, and we'll be ready to install each of our laminations. We are ready to apply our first layer, and for the first layer we won't use any glue, but we will use staples. And I'm going to staple, because I'm going to be taking out my temporary studs or my temporary braces. I don't want to staple into here. Where I do want to staple is into the end of my ledger boards, and I can also staple on the edge of my treads and risers. I'll start here, and I want to make sure that my board is above the outside corner of each tread. And as I hold that in place, I should be able to just skim the top edge of each piece. And I want to work my way up. In fact, you can put a temporary screw down there as you go. But as we do that, before we put the second layer on, we want to make sure and remove this screw before we put the next layer on. Having that bottom screw in just kind of helps keep it in the plumb position and nice and vertical. Otherwise, it may have a tendency to kind of flare out. first layer, I'll take a hammer and I'll just knock my staples tight so that I end up with a nice clean curve. So I've got a nice clean curve that's nice and tight to the inside radius. Now I'm going to take my flush trim router and I'm going to route this flush to the profile of my stair. I need to do this on every layer, or at least every 2 layers. You can only go about 1/2 to 3/4 deep. So if I do it on every layer, I'm only taking off 1/4 inch on each pass. The bit we're going to use is called a flush trim bit, and that flush trim bit has a straight cutter and then a bearing on the end of the router. And what that allows us to do is use the surface of the stair as a guide to route each notch of our laminated stringer. So we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way up the top. You do want to make sure and wear good safety glasses, as you'll get quite a bit of spray up from this particular operation. Remember to pull my screws out. Got my temporary braces. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a layer of glue like I'm painting. So I'll take some glue and a paint tray and a little roller. And I'm just going to roll on some glue onto my stringer here. On a live project, you might even want to use construction adhesive, as this will be one of the major structural components of your stair, because eventually we'll take these braces out. So you want this lamination to be nice and strong. And obviously you want to be nice and speedy about this glue to dry. We'll repeat what we did on the first. And we'll go ahead and route again. And we'll repeat that process until we've gained our 1.5 inch thickness of laminated stringer. On your last layer, assuming this will be a paint grade final skin, you can take a screw, flush head screw, and just screw through each position of your layer, of your ledger. That will just give extra strength to your stringer assembly. You'll notice I was careful not to put any staples or screws into my braces here. Except for my temporary ones, which I'll pull out now. And I'll go ahead and take out my temporary braces. And there is my half flying stair stringer. And the moment of truth is, can I walk up it? Yes, I can. Self-supporting circular stairway.